I hope you still have some energy left and some attention span is still available, because today I'm going to talk about onboarding. Just give me a second, I need to like readjust it a little bit so I feel more comfortable, or maybe I will just grab it. It will be maybe even better. So let me introduce myself. My name is Martin Jurasek. I currently work as a game design / user experience consultant. And a little bit about me. I have already like over 10 years of experience in the gaming industry. In the past, I used to work at Pixel Federation for over 8 years, where I had the chance to work like basically on like every single project that Pixel Federation released, but the most like popular ones are like Train Station 2, where I was responsible for mainly for user experience design, so how you interact with the game, how do you fulfill contracts, etc., etc. So the whole design. And Seaport, I worked there as a lead game designer. So if anybody of you know game Seaport, I was responsible with the rest of the team to making it live and making it successful. And by the end of my journey at Pixel Federation, we founded with other colleagues dedicated UX department, and that's been also like really interesting journey. And based on that experience, and based on my recent experience doing consultancy with other gaming studios, I'm trying to bridge the gap between user experience design and game design. And today we're going to talk about onboarding. So what is on today's menu? Today I'm going to talk about tools and principles you guys can adapt for better onboarding. Then I will talk about some tips and tricks, and then I have even one case study. I already have even some key takeaways for you, so after you leave today's talk, I hope that you will have some ideas that you can adapt to your working agenda. And maybe, today you will hear about stuff that you are already familiar with, So in that case, good for you. You get additional reassurance that you are doing things right. I don't want to go into like too much detail, because we could like talk for hours about like too much details. And, if we go like into too detailed work, then, usually some people can't get the value. So I'll be maybe working sometimes about like high-level concepts, but for me, it's always about fundamentals. And fundamentals are basic, they are simple, but we often forget about them. So I'm here to remind you about them and what's happening. Oh man, like, okay, so greetings, my name is Viksani, and all I have relation to this talk at all, like, yes, women, female character. However, no, okay, tap to continue. Now that you know, there is even a typo, and remember my name. Do you remember it? I welcome you to tutorial about the upcoming onboarding. Come on, like, yes, you are probably familiar with this type of screens. But before we get started, I need your full attention, because I won't be repeating myself, that this is what sometimes this onboarding does, and you probably already think that, okay, there are like so many wrong things happening right now. So I expect you to remember it, yes? So please, okay, this is heading, there are like numbers, and key takeaways will be in green background. So, those green slides are important for you, so maybe you should even take a photo of that. Okay, it's super simple. Now you know everything. Good luck. It took us like 30 seconds. And this is like common practice even in games. You download the game, you play the game, and after like 2 minutes, you are on your own, and you are like feeling lost. So you might have already noticed many problems and issues with this lady, which kind of interrupted my talk, and she didn't help us that much. So let's get back to that menu which I was talking about. So tools and principles for better onboarding, which you can adapt for your work on a daily basis. Key takeaway number 0. Onboarding is happening already before your player started the game. And what do I mean by that is that where does it happen? It actually happens in ad creatives, in the stores, like in App Store, Google Play. It happens in reviews, because people do not end up with the application or even game downloaded on their device. They already have some prior knowledge to it. And us as game developers, we sometimes forget about it, because we are working we are going really deep into development of the product. We do it, sometimes we even do it for ourselves, and we forget that the actual target audience is not ourselves. And then we consider that like so many stuff are already obvious to us, but not to players. And then there are like many problems. So there's word of mouth, there are streams and gameplay videos that can already set some kind of expectations. So you need to be aware of that. Maybe you are doing a competitor to some already well-established game on the market. So that game which was their first, which is even like more popular than your game, already set some kind of standards, some kind of defaults that players already expect from you. So you need to be aware of these things. So let's go, for example, Royal Match example. This is the ad creative I was exposed to, so I already expect that, okay, this is some kind of match 3 game with a twist of some kind of danger that I need to be like really quick in order to help the king. If I go to the App Store, I already have some kind of claims in the store, like save the king, solve puzzle, decorate the castle, compete with millions, claim rewards. So these are already the things that I expect as a player when I download the game. And the question is, will I have a chance to experience these things that you promised me in like the first 5 minutes? So it is really important to match expectations, players' expectations, with the tutorial that you deliver to player. And sometimes, and actually like really often, we forget about it. So, and especially if the marketing is, you know, doing stuff on their own, they are like experimenting with different creatives, different headlines, different claims, and they iterate on like even like on daily basis. They're running A/B tests, and you are not aware of that. And sometimes, you know, players will download the game and they will get a totally different experience. So key takeaway is like that you have to, as a developer, talk to your marketing people or anybody who is responsible for a promotion, and you have to do it regularly. Really, I mean, it seems quite obvious, but it is also really based on my experience with like many companies working with them. It is really shocking how many times these people do not talk to each other, because everybody's minding their own business. But collaboration is key, because these people can tell you like, okay, we tried this type of visual or like marketing angle and it didn't work. So maybe we can, as a marketing guys, can suggest you that maybe you should even change the team of your first level from, I don't know, Egypt to something more, I don't know, to Paris or whatever. So there is two-way communication, and you can benefit from it as a game designer or game developer or even producer, basically the whole team. So please talk to these people regularly. It will make the onboarding smoother. Key takeaway number 2, onboarding is not just a tool to retain your new players. Actually, we can learn, and we can learn many new lessons. So it is an opportunity for your team to learn. And why do we want to learn? Because only if we learn, we can make our products better, because those products are mirror or reflection of our current skills. And yes, of course, the limits of the company, which has like the financial time and everything, but you can only do as good product as you are as a team, or as a like individual. So you need to learn. This is one example. So we got like old version with some kind of like previous retention, previous onboarding. Day 1 retention was 24. Then there was like day 1 retention 22. So what is the result? I would say there are like no lessons were learned on this day. I mean, like, is even the sample size sufficient for it? Or did we run the test on like sample size of 500 downloads and we already decide like, okay, the new onboarding is not working, so we should revert to the old version? Or is there some kind of problem underlying in the new onboarding which is causing this result? So just looking at it like this, I would even dare to say is like, in some regard, vanity metric, because retention just tells you if the player turned on the game the next day, but it doesn't tell you anything else. Like what was the progress during that session, what was the length of the session, what were the actions during that session. So you don't learn that much. So you probably should go deeper a little bit. So how can we learn from these onboarding activities? And yes, collect data. We need to collect quantitative data, you know, those popular stuff like A/B tests and doing the onboarding, event tracking, which we turn into onboarding funnels, and we get analytics guys. Sometimes we don't do it. I mean, there are like, yes, right now this slide seems like it's really fundamental, really basic. We heard about it for like so many times, but I'll get into details, and maybe you will be also familiar with the stuff that you probably are not doing enough or frequently, or you are not probably doing it at all. And I'm talking right now about qualitative data, so I'll get to it later. So quantitative data are a great tool to teach you what is happening. And by what is happening is that if you learn what is happening, it's only one part of the story, one part of the puzzle in order to become better, in order to improve your product. And what do I mean by made-up example? Let's say we made an onboarding funnel with event tracking, which says, which tracks the progress of the player based on the quests. So we can track, okay, the 100% of the players, which is not often the case, of course, managed to finish the quest 1, which says collect 10 gold. And then we have quest 2, which says kill 10 orcs. Only 95% finish it. So we lost a couple of players. And then there's a big churn between quest 2 and quest 3 to collect 5 flowers. So what do we know about this? Okay, there is some kind of problem. We know what is happening. We are losing players between quest 2 and quest 3. So what can we do now? I would suggest, yes, based on the quantitative data, we should probably go a little bit deeper. And if we try to analyze what is happening after quest 2, we can try to track what is happening. Okay, so the guy, after he finished the quest 2, he went for quest 3. There was no churn at all, like the minimum, or let's say like natural churn, and then there is a big churn. So the struggle is that finding a first flower is problematic. And then the second and third and fourth and fifth seems to be quite okay-ish. We don't know yet, because already the first problem, the churn, filtered out so many players that maybe if we fix the first flower, there will be problem with the second one. It will just show up. So this is just tells you what is like happening, and the question is, now we know what is happening, so what do we do now between those two moments, between no flowers and first flower? So what do we do now? Guys, no, stop. We cannot go, like, we cannot overanalyze everything, because with this type of tool, we are just still asking the question, what is happening? And maybe we will find eventually what is happening, but maybe there is a big chance that you already defined, like, okay, this is the moment where it happened, so you decided to play it, you know? So there is a high chance that now that you know what is happening, you will play it by yourself. You know, this tutorial for like millionth time, because you are developing the game. However, this is how we look when we playtest our own games. We consider so much stuff that is like, we consider it automatic. We consider it so obvious. It just makes sense. Like, I don't understand why players do not see that. And in this regard, you already did a good step, because basically what you try to do is to go for that why, because you know what is happening. The first flower is not being collected, and you are asking why. Why is it? So this is already a really good thing that you already did, because you are trying to find the answer for the question, why is it happening? You are curious, and that's great, but probably there's a high chance that you won't be able to find out why is it happening. So you should be playtesting. And qualitative data, and there is a reason why we have quantitative data and qualitative data, is that they help each other. So qualitative data are helping you to teach you why is something happening. So playtesting is a key, and it was mentioned in the previous talk, which was happening here, and I totally agree that you have to playtest game. And what do I mean by that is, okay, so are there any user experience designers in the audience? I don't see any, but maybe you know some. But I know so many user experience designers that are not actually like working with users at all. So the thing is that running one round of playtest 12 months ago is probably not enough. Like like so much stuff has changed over the time that you should probably, not probably, like you should do it more often. And now I'm going to share with you my own personal lessons that I already experienced during my development. So this is the hackathon project from 2019. Since it has been made in 2019, I was not able to get the most up-to-date screen, but if you look at the screen on the left, you can see that this is let's say like a basic layout, and at the beginning of the game there's nothing happening. There are like right now you can see that we have like 1, 2, 3, 4 trains with 5 slots. At the beginning there is only 1 slot available with 1 train, so there is literally nothing, really nothing happening. And basically you start the game, the train travels, gets to destination, and then it says something which you can see on the number 2, collect gold. You cannot do anything else. And like my expectation is, it is super obvious that players will collect the gold because there's nothing else to do. What was the reality? Well, players will not collect gold automatically, even though that was my hypothesis, my assumption, because it's super obvious. And I really love this type of playtest moments when you get this aha, I was so blind, and you know it puts your ego in check, because sometimes you're very confident in your design decisions that yeah, this is the best way how we can do something, and then comes reality, and you are facing it, and you are just like sitting on a chair and like moving like how could this happen, like what did I do wrong? Like, no, you did nothing wrong. You should just play this more because you are getting those eye blinds. So the players who were familiar with idle games, they understood the concept, they collected the gold. But the players who were not familiar, they immediately went to menu and they got lost completely. So based on that, we decided to, yes, that we need to add like tutorial hands that guide you what to do. And then we decided to like change the bottom menu so it's not as like visually attractive in that orange color. And this helped us to improve this initial flow. Keep in mind, this was like weekend project for hackathon, so we did it like really quick, and I just like grabbed the device, ran to some random person, and I gave him like, please interact with this. I'm gonna look. I'm not gonna help you. I just need like feedback. So this is the first lesson that yes, you can always playtest some kind of in some way, and I don't like the excuse which says that we don't have time for playtesting, and I will get to it later, but. This was one of the really nice lessons. Another lesson is the bus simulator. I had the chance to observe like many players who were interacting with this new game, and as you can see, operating a bus is really complicated. Like you get many shortcuts, many buttons. You know, it's really complicated. And one of the first things that you have to do when you start playing bus simulator, actually, it's quite fun game. Actually, I liked it. What I managed to observe. Clicker is not cooperating with me. Okay, there's a helping hand. I've seen it. Okay, now I'm on the next one. I don't know, like I'm. Okay, is it? Okay, they will fix it, but we have the right screen right now. So what I managed to identify is that if there are. Oh, the spoiler alert, there was a follow-up lesson. So, okay, perfect, thank you. So what I found out that, you know, players at the beginning can choose the starting bus. And some people chose MAN bus, and the other one's Mercedes. Of course, Mercedes bus has to be the best one. But as you can see, one of the things that they had to do before they were able to move forward, they had to close the driver's door on the right. And as you can see, if you're looking on the interface like this, you don't see the door because they are like outside of your like screen. So the icon which you can see in the blue circle was like really small. It was not in their focus. So people struggled for a couple minutes because they didn't know what to do in order to move forward, to start driving. So just because of the different interface of the bus. So you have to playtest because this is the stuff that you are not able to discover by yourself. If you are, good for you. Another lesson, foggy lights. This is not from gaming, this is from real life. Yesterday I had discussion about fog lights being used in Poland. I've been told that it's not very common to have them used in Poland. I don't know. but maybe there is a reason why they are not used so frequently in this country. People told me yesterday in the warm-up party. And the thing is that if you go on YouTube and you will start typing how to turn on fog L, you can see the suggestions. How to turn on fog lights in Swift, Peugeot, Seat, Vauxhall, Skoda, Fiat, Volkswagen, Ford. So there is some kind of problem happening, even though the fog lights are really, it's a safety issue. So what is happening here? And you can even see like how to turn on fog lights on VW. And actually, this was the real situation. I was Googling it as well. So you can see that video has 500,000 views, which is quite a lot, if you want to like operate the vehicle and you want to be safe on the road. You are transporting, your family, children, or there are like other people. So like being able to turn on fog lights is important. So what is happening here? If you turn on the Volkswagen tutorial, and it's really quick, you can see, looking at this toggle light, is that it's quite obvious when the light is turned off. It's the position on the left side. Then there is the on position, which is the middle screen. You can just turn the toggle, and there is an icon for the fog light, which is on the 7th hour, as you can see. So what I was thinking that maybe I need to turn it to the left, and then it will activate everything with extra fog lights. Turns out it doesn't work like that, even though that icon suggests that maybe you should do it. Instead, and you can see, that was my expectation, but what you have to do, and I will do exception, now I will move away from this table because I was told that I should be here. This toggle here, you need to like pull it out. Pull it out. And 2 times actually, like 1 and 2. So, and you can see it's already like pulled out. So that's the tutorial, how to turn on the fog lights. Been driving my Touareg for 4 years now. I just found out that today. Nice. Not the most intuitive thing in the world. And this is, maybe this is the reason of some kind of like, cost cutting, not like cost cutting, but working with the production cycle, how much does it cost to to create this element, and then how you can use it in the car. So like making cars is really difficult. So I understand, but I think this was not of the best decisions. And in automotive, you could find so many usability issues that were probably not the result of the good usability testing, even though it's like really difficult to like create a car which suits all types of needs, body types, shapes, lengths, limits, etc., etc. So key takeaway is to turn on the fog lights on your Volkswagen Passat. You have to pull the lever. Another one is that make playtesting a regular part of your development process, please. Yes, as developers, we're facing many constraints, and I've even written it here, but having playtesting is non-negotiable, in my opinion. You have to make it a priority, no more excuses. Because sometimes we say that, yeah, but we cannot afford, like we don't have enough time. But you know what? Do you have time to like develop a feature which is not tested out and then releasing it and reworking it from the scratch or throwing it away? So maybe spending a little bit more of extra time at the beginning to polish out your initial idea will save you so much more time after release. So in the end, playtesting helps you to reduce the production time, even though that at the beginning it seems that we are probably not doing that. So please, no more excuses. And there is a really nice video about Wolf's playtesting approach from Mark Brown from Game Maker's Toolkit. If you don't know him, give him a follow. I mean, like my most favorite resource about game development, really good one. So, and reminder, qualitative data are collaborating with quantitative data. You cannot measure everything with A/B test, and you cannot only like do the playtest. Though, like you need to have a good mix of these two sources, which help you to make better design decisions. Figma prototypes are, by the way, great tool to design better onboarding or to run a playtest without spending any any production time of developer. And what do I mean by that? Here is an example from one of my like clients that we work with. And this is the game Era of Magic Wars, where we started discussing about redesign of the screen, and we needed to merge a couple more mechanics to it. We needed to, like, it's really complicated. It's already complicated like this, and we needed to make it, you know, less complicated, but at the same time we needed to add more features there. Really like nightmare, because it's like already too late to like make this type of like UX improvements. But the solution was to use Figma. And we started playing with the black and white prototype. This is like fully interactive. You can click it out, and what did it help me is that we were able to have like the live discussion with the designers, developers, with anyone, just to discuss it, change the design suggestions on the go. And since we had working prototype, we could give it to playtest to somebody and to give them tasks like, do you know how to level up the unit? Do you know how to level up, how to increase the army size? And based on that, we were able to make any more design iterations, even though it's like really advanced feature. But to wrap it up, we're able to test many design variants. This is just one of so many. We're able to show this prototype to non-developer and get valuable feedback. They told us, like, this doesn't make sense, I don't understand this, so we changed the text, we changed everything. Zero time of precious developer time was required. This is amazing, especially producers like it, because you can playtest something without doing the actual build. It's always music to their ears. So this approach actually sped up the whole process towards the final design. It's still in work in progress, but we're on a good way, and we are like happy with the work we have done so far. And just a reminder, like Figma prototypes are super fast, because it even helps you to, you know, to smooth out all those tiny design details that you sometimes forget about, especially if you're going really into really complex features. So please, Figma, if you want to talk about Figma, how to implement it into game design, I'm here, so we can talk. Onboarding related questions. I have many questions about onboarding. If you want, it's a green background. You know what that lady said at the beginning, so you can take a picture, because we cannot go through all of those. But I highlighted the one which says, like, what is the goal of the onboarding in your game? Kind of simple question, kind of obvious. But once again, based on my experience, if I ask these questions like 3 people in the same team, I will get different answers. So we probably have a problem. The problem is also like the mismatch between the number 2 and number 3, because player has already some kind of expectations based on marketing, previous experience, whatever, and we have some kind of goal. So let's say we're making some kind of competitor to already existing game, and we have some kind of USP. I don't know, like the game is about multiplayer, you know, like multiplayer is great, but the multiplayer is a like mid-game feature which is released after 1 week. So does the new player actually know that there is any multiplayer waiting for him? Do we communicate it? Do we put it, I don't know, on the map or on the main menu? And do we put it there as a building with a log which says on level 15 it's being unlocked? Because even this type of like small design changes can help you to change the player's expectations, and it might even give him a reason why he should come back to the game, because those are like tiny checkpoints which are leading him from one step to another, to another, to another. So sometimes even with small design decisions like changing the wording can help you a lot, because oftentimes we try to design onboarding as like a showcase of features that we have in a game, but they do not work as a coherent package, you know. So after like 10 minutes you have shown me everything and nothing at the same time. I don't know why I should come back to this game again, because I don't know if there is some kind of like map which would guide me where I want to get to like a large castle, or I want to discover. So please, like even like the question number 3, what is the goal of the onboarding? And if you write it down, it is super important to write it down, because over time you will forget about it, then you will make an iteration, and that 5th iteration won't be doing that purpose of that original goal. So these are the questions. And moving on, I think oh no, I was pushing the wrong button. So wrapping up the tools and the principles, please talk to your marketing often. Onboarding is an opportunity for your team to learn. Do you collect data? Do you playtest regularly? Please do it. To turn on the lights, you know how to do it now. Make playtesting a regular part of your development process because you can do it really quickly. And you know, maybe now you are thinking, but no, my game is very complicated. Like I need a developer, like my game is about combat. Well, we had this type of problem as well. But for example, if you want to do battle, you can make a paper prototype. And we made a paper prototype. We made a 2-hour playtest session with new set of rules, gameplay rules, and it helped us to redesign the battle system without, once again, without any developer's time. So there are like so many tools which you can use in order to verify your ideas and iterations. Prototyping has to be a part of your feature development. I like it as a game designer to work with Figma. If you can do it in Unity, good for you, that's even better. And you need to ask yourself difficult questions often. Like keep your ego in check. It will help you to become better designer. Tips and tricks, now go to the like more specific stuff. So, and we still have some time left, so that's good. So information overload, and it's that's a paradox that I'm talking about it because I already probably said too many information to you right now, and maybe I'm still going to continue for 10 more minutes. So how to deal with information overload? Guy wants to build a game that simulated a real-life business like a retail liquor store, and he thinks that it's like really overcomplicated, and he is aware of the thing that information overload exists. What is the solution to it? If this is meant to be a realistic retail simulator, there's nothing more realistic than dumping a massive spreadsheet of different values on the manager and saying good luck. Okay, this is from the Reddit I found yesterday, and he has a point, and if it wants to be like super realistic, then yes, probably it's a good solution. But for the mortals and the other ones, probably it's not. So information overload exercise. Unfortunately, there isn't like ultimate one solution fits all, but you can manage this just by being aware of like human limitation. And what you can do, here's the exercise. Try to list out all those features that you are presenting to a player. Like, do you have a warehouse? Do you have 10 different items like resources? Do you have gold? Do you have defense, armor reduction, magic resistance, merging items, getting rid of duplicates? Then we get some kind of special events coming, multiplayer, single player. Like, if you are showing this to me in 5 minutes, I might have a problem, you know? And if your audience is more hardcore-ish, you can deal with it. It's doable, but just write down those things on a paper. And if you end up with a half paper of like features and unique things, then you probably did too much too soon. So you need to like stretch it out a little bit, pace it out, and you need to be aware what is the core feature of the gameplay, like what is the core gameplay loop. And another thing is that if you show it to me once, there's a high chance I won't remember it. So there is a big difference between showing and teaching and letting me experience it. You know, sometimes there is this type of like pop-up which will inform you about the stuff that you have to worry about later in 5 minutes later. So don't show it to me now. Show it to me in 5 minutes later. So there's extra tip, but using teams from real world is super friendly because it requires you less effort to like explain why this thing works. And this is also maybe the reason why, for example, Civilization that Beyond Earth was not as popular as the classic ones, because as long as you start talking about some kind of like vibranium and uranium and those kind of like exotic elements, there's a lot of new information happening and not everybody can process it. So relating to real world is always good. You know, you want to make a health kit in a game, so make it look like a health kit and not like a I don't know, green shaped conus. It's really difficult for me to remember that this type of visual represents the medkit. Repetition is mother of learning, as I showed you. Use joystick. This is a really nice example. At the beginning of every single stage, I would even dare to call it like a mini tutorial. Use the joystick to move the snake. At the beginning, Not like I'm not mad that you showed it to me. I know what to do, but it's good because anytime I get back, I know what to do. So consistency is very important. And what do I mean by that? You need to use consistent language. This happens very, very often. And some examples: if something is called gold, please call it gold everywhere. It's not money, it's not coins, not tokens, not gold. If something is called quest, it is a quest. It is not a job, not a task, not a contract, not a mission. It's a quest. And being consistent helps you to know to make that game more clear, and therefore we make game more enjoyable, and there is a lower chance for the churn of new players. We need to use consistent colors and shapes. This happens very often with the UIs, that we are like coming up with new buttons, new shapes, and then we implement a new color because in one specific screen we needed to have one extra color, and then sometimes those UIs become overwhelmingly complicated, and is in that case very complicated to understand what's happening. So another one, notification chains, they work, but please make them lead you to the end, because very often you get a notification on something, you click there and there is no follow-up. You just like open the screen and there isn't that thing that you were trying to notify him about. So this is a good example that, for example, there's a notification Noble Tavern. I know what I'm looking for that red circle with exclamation mark. Then I see it's on a book. Then I click on a book. There is on there, and I managed to get into reward. So this is what AFK Arena does really, really well. And it is a standard, but so many times there isn't a notification at all, or there is a different type of notification. So somehow we think that like having a different notification in the shop makes better sense. So please make them consistent. They should be complete and consistent, and then they work. And you can adopt onboarding mindset beyond first-time user experience. So you can onboard player to specific in-game features. And what do I mean by that? You can use those empty moments to communicate some kind of additional information, but the side note, relevant information, so we don't cause that information overload. So, for example, this one, it looks like a loading screen, basic loading screen, but actually there is so much useful information happening to a player. I get to realize, I see, thank you. Even though it was outside of my vision, that's the UI. So I was lucky to see that. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to make it on time. So you get useful information, very useful, because you know who is your opponent. You actually get the feeling that the fight is about to happen. So you can see that shape which tells you like what are the properties of those enemies, so it can help you to adapt your strategy towards it. Loading screen. Loading screen can work also as a tool that can help you to set expectations from game. It's not only about like giving tips like what you can do in some kind of specific moments, but here you'll find the siren sound setting for your M manager. You can see just the tip, yeah, but you can work with it. But keep in mind, if the loading is too fast, you won't be able to read it. So maybe after loading finishes, there should be a button like tap to continue to confirm that you are ready. There is a follow-up screenshot. I don't know if you know this guy, but people familiar with Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne, that's a Grubby. He's still streaming on YouTube, on Twitter, and there is one issue that's happening very often, that playing Warcraft 3 in 2024 means that we have really, really fast computers. So this loading screen is really, really quick. And sometimes so quick that we miss who is our opponent and we don't know what race he plays. So if I'm playing as an orc, or Grubby, most of the time he plays as an orc, it's very essential information to know for him to know who is he facing. So if it's really fast, he doesn't know. So then there is usually a follow-up in the chat, like, what is your race? And usually, the community is nowadays very mature, and they will answer him. They will answer him the right answer, so they are not like making fun of him. And or maybe it's the result of being Grubby, because like so many people respect him in this community. So, like, good example where information is being presented, but it is also problematic due to the like technological progress. So. Another question, like how do you onboard returning players? You know, as a player, you are coming back after a longer or even shorter break, and you should probably help them so they know, to remind them like what was happening last time. And you can't rely on the fact that they will remember what to do. Like we forget a lot. There is even like a graph on Wikipedia which has its name, and I don't know how it is called. So I rest my case. People forget. And actually, like movies and TV shows, they use it all the time, like previously on. Like in the previous episode you have seen, and there is like 30-second recap. And once again, people forget because yesterday I wanted to put a screenshot here from some kind of movie that I was watching, and I was not able to find any because I could not remember where they use it on regular. So we forget, please help us how to get back. Example. Raid Shadow Legends, one of the behemoths in RPG games on the mobile. So some games are really overwhelming. So this is what happened to me yesterday after I opened this game after a long period of time. This was the first screen, by the way. This was the second one. I collected that experience. Thank you for the information. I appreciate it. I was definitely expecting this. Okay, fine, let's play. Okay, Spider Tournament, yes, that's exactly what I was waiting for. And now I'm here. And I'm gone. I really didn't know what to do now. And there was even like focus on like progress, mission available, it was moving. You know, sometimes those screenshots do not tell the whole story because sometimes we have animations. And, you know, like I just dropped because the game did not help me. Where should I like put my focus on, like what is important, or just like welcome me back and just remind me of something. So I left. And now we're approaching the finish line just in time. Case study, one case study with another client. The game is called Transport Icon Empire. We redesigned the tutorial, and what were we doing? So the goal was to improve the early KPIs of the stable project. So it was not like we're fighting for survival that the game is not performing, but we knew that according to the like standard in the genre, we were probably underperforming. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to apply those quick wins because those are easy to implement. We are like having fingers crossed that it will become better. And you know, we were like doing subtle rebalances, usability improvements, you know, UX writing, making the text more consistent, moving the tutorial hands, etc., etc. But they improved the game like quality-wise, but the actual KPIs did not improve that much. Like the good thing is that they did not make the game worse. Even that type of experience I already had, but we had hypothesis that like the faster progression in the region should help us to keep players better engaged because they will feel they will have a better sense of progression and better sense of reward, and they will have a clearer sense of agenda what they have to do in this game. So that had to require much more effort to remake it. So we remade this map a lot, so it needed a lot of like 3D work. We even like deleted a lot of things. We added routes, as you can see, and basically what was the outcome and was that some of that new tutorial changes meant that we put more emphasis on the faster progression. So we reduced the delivery times, which led to like instant gratification. We implemented more content, more contractors, which will lead to more rewards. And we clean up the region visually, so it felt more like a greenfield. So that visual improvement was more visually apparent, and we added more routes, which also needed to be developed. So player had the stronger feeling of that transport tycoon magnate who is developing the world, and that actually resulted in improved KPIs, which actually resulted in better day one retention rate. Yes, unfortunately, I mean, this type of case study could be as a separate talk, but overall, the key takeaway from this effort is that sense of progression and reward is more than just a spreadsheet and balance, you know, because sometimes we are trying to rebalance something, but actually players do not care if they, most of the time they do not care if they get at the beginning 5 gold or 6 gold. The question is, how does it feel? Like, The good example is also Candy Crush Saga. Try to play the first level of Candy Crush Saga. Try to use the stopwatch and or even like other games like Chrome Valley Customs. Measure how long did you play the first level. Is it like 15 seconds, 20 seconds? Good. Now the winning sequence starts, which gives you rewards. How long does that take? And as far as I remember, like even in the first levels, it took like 20 or 30 seconds. So I feel good. I did a good job. So that gratification, instant dopamine, unfortunately, we are living in this area. We are competing with TikTok, so if I have to play your game for 1 minute, by that time I could have watched like 12 TikToks, which would make my brain explode. So we are not only competing with games, but with all the other applications on our smartphones, which are all designed to grab our attention. So we're living in attention economy, so we need to be aware of that. And as game designers, we need to be also aware of those like reward loops and how do we present them, how frequently we give them to player, and how we can maintain our players in the game. And the last takeaway is that not every onboarding change leads to improvement in KPIs. That's the reason why we have qualitative data and quantitative data. And especially measuring churn, what are the reasons behind churning players? Sometimes it's like really like difficult because you can see like the churn is somehow like natural, like dropping. Then we do a new release and somebody leaves because of new update. But actually that new update is the result of long-term frustration, and that was like the final nail in the coffin. Because nobody ever left because of like only like one tiny upgrade, tiny update, but maybe they have been, all of these players which are like, I hate this game, but I'm playing it for 5 years, and I'm still like being grumpy, and I hate it. But one day there will be that moment when they will decide to leave. But it was not the reason because of that one moment. It was because of that long-term frustration. And I have one example which I like to use when we talk about quantitative data and qualitative data. You have to come to the office every single day. So if I were to measure your retention, we got 100%. Everybody shows up to office. Thank you very much. We got 5 minutes left, and this is last example, and we can go to Q&A. Okay. So you show up in a work, we got retention of 100%. But the guy who goes by foot 5 minutes and lives 5 minutes away from work is a completely different experience than the guy who has to commute every single day in his car for 50 minutes in a traffic jam. And like there is a higher chance that that guy works like 50 minutes away from the car, and then at the end of the work he has to drive 50 minutes, okay, 35 because there is no traffic jam. But based on quantitative data, we are fine, but qualitative data tells the other story. So please use both of these, make a useful mix. And that's a wrap from me. Thank you. Here's a Q&A time. I will be outside after this talk. If you want to have a more personal chat, I will be available here tomorrow. You can schedule a talk. You can connect with me on a LinkedIn. That's the QR code on the left. And in the middle, that's my blog where I do analyze some kind of games based on first 15 minutes of gameplay. Thank you very much.